Let's talk about some of the old games I played this year. I don't include remakes in these GOTY lineups, so that's why Majora's Mask 3D shows up here. The original probably had the most cultish following of all the Zelda games. Interesting, unique and full of ideas, but slow and patience testing. Ocarina of Time was a clean, iconic Zelda. Majora's Mask was twisted and unsettling. So it's great to see a focused attempt to iron out some of the game's most glaring issues and make something really enjoyable from this. The characters and setting are among the series' most memorable, and there's a lot of really fun ideas with the different masks. I have the same overall impression of the game, but I don't really see myself going back to the N64 version after this. Messy menus are cleaned up, the long waits are now skippable, and the game generally feels more well-rounded now. Majora's Mask always felt like a game made from parts of another one, but the remake pushes to make it feel better considered. This is definitely the version to play. Here's a game I already had a lot of fondness for, but playing it after the announcement of the long-awaited sequel made it a different experience. I could play with the focus on characters and plot developments, wondering where they'd lead with a newfound optimism. Shenmue II is a game with an incredible amount to play around with too, so I welcomed the opportunity to replay it and see things I'd missed before. There's so many different people and places that can be totally overlooked in a more focused playthrough. I found myself exploring different options and trying things that didn't necessarily help move the game along. Just living in this awkward, moving, predictable world and revelling in it. I just hope Shenmue 3 can be half as interesting a game as this is. Kura and Squash isn't a game with a lot of big surprises, but it celebrates the chance to bring the brilliant handheld series to home console. The presentation is really brilliant and the game plays around with new ideas like power-ups, bosses and height switching. Playing it today, it's striking just how well this game or a sequel could work on the 3DS. The balance of flat objects and tall obstacles, quick twitchy gameplay and the all-important analog controls tick the checklist of things that work particularly well on that system. Consider me unrealistically hopeful that Nintendo will come to this conclusion themselves. Here's one you've never heard of. No, fuck off, you haven't. I certainly hadn't, and this is right up my alley. Skate or Die Bad and Rad is a bizarre platformer with a skateboarding theme. Mechanically, it's got little unique to it other than a slightly irritating momentum system that doesn't really work. Why I love this game, though, is it's fucking mental. There's a boss fight against a clown who throws exploding juggling balls at you. There's a sewer level with sea serpents that you have to jump on. Most special of all is the skateboarding dominatrix who throws boomerangs at you. There's also some top-down levels that are reminiscent of the FNES games, but this stands out for offering some of the oddest, funniest platforming sections on the Game Boy. I dearly love this stupid game. Here's a personal shame of mine. As much as I love Kirby, I've never given Dreamland much of a chance until it turned up in a My Retro Game Box package, and it's fantastic. I was always put off by the idea of a Kirby platformer without copy abilities, but Dreamland is a punchy, quick, funny little game. It can be rushed through in 40 minutes and it's all great fun. Crucially, it's Kirby without the lore. The character designs are nothing more than funny doodles to appear in a game. King Dedede shows up at the end. We don't know anything about him. He's just a funny penguin with a hammer, and he's the end boss. That's brilliant. That's exactly how Kirby should be, and that's exactly what this game is. August 12, 2015 marked 10 years to the day I first played Killer 7. The game seemed massively important to me when I first played it, but it had been years since I'd last touched it. I thought this little anniversary would be a good excuse to replay it. Things had changed in this time gap. I'm more politically aware now. I've seen some shit. Also, Suda's made Lollipop Chainsaw and it's fucking rotten. It was a relief to find Killer 7 holds up, but it was a different experience than what I expected. It felt almost exactly like replaying a Resident Evil game. It was relaxing and fun. I'd enjoyed it more as a game than an adventure or a story, and that was surprising. It also brought to mind how I'd always thought of Killer 7. It's Resident Evil without the fluff. You travel on predetermined routes that lead you precisely to important locations. It's very difficult to miss a puzzle piece, since everything's so straightforward. Interestingly, it also makes the combat more tense, as you're rarely given an opportunity to run past approaching enemies. It's a really interesting game for fans of Resident Evil, and it's worth considering how much influence Mikami had on the project. What really sets Killer 7 apart though is the personality and strangeness that Grasshopper Manufacture bring to the game. The game still looks incredible and makes clever use of colour and camera angles within the mad abstract style. It's a very focused attempt to make something as dark and strange as a Stanley Kubrick film in a video game. I don't think I hold Killer 7 up quite as highly as I used to, but I'd like it in a different way now. It's still a unique game and easily the most interesting thing Koichi Suda has made, but it's also familiar and strangely peaceful in many regards. Now I'm going to tell you why I think you should play Hebereke for the Famicom. Hebereke is like the Proteus of the Metroidvania genre. It's funny, cute and bizarre. In a genre that's typically attempted to push relatively mature themes, it's pretty refreshing to see something this silly. It also does that Pikmin thing I really like, where it puts a face on your new abilities. You associate certain obstacles with a character, but they're not necessarily the only solution to the puzzle. You're encouraged to try things, and because of the art style, you never feel stupider than the game. It's a really fun way to do this kind of thing, and I instantly warmed to the game the first time I died from a bird taking a giant curled up shit on me. Let's not overlook the fact that this is a Famicom game, and in light of how poorly the original Metroid has aged, this daft little Sunsoft title's a bit of a marvel. Not the best old game this year though.